Good afternoon. On this last day of the month, welcome to NTV at 1. My name is Zainab Ismail. Now, ODM leaders led by Siaya Senator James Orengo have renewed calls for President Uhuru Kenyatta to take action against corrupt senior government officials. The leaders, who spoke during a funeral gathering in Okwala, Siaya County, also backed the Directorate of Criminal Investigations and the Director of Public Prosecution's war against graft.
Members of Parliament can also pass a motion for the removal of cabinet secretaries. Let us just wait for Nudin or for Kinoti. Let us use these other powers under the Constitution, National Assembly and the Senate to help the war against corruption.
I want to plead with President Uhuru Kenyatta that even as he comes to give his State of the Nation address to the Parliament of Kenya on Thursday next week, one thing he must do is to add a new impetus to the fight against corruption.
And I want to tell him as my brother, this is just a piece of advice, that corruption fights back, and it fights back very, very strongly.
And leaders from Kiambu have dismissed calls to impeach the Deputy President William Ruto as a non-starter. The leaders, who spoke during a church service at the St. Martin's Catholic Church in Karuri in Kiambu and attended by the Deputy President, also blamed the opposition leaders who are working with government in the wake of the handshake of seeking to cause chaos in the Jubilee party. They have reiterated their support for the Deputy President's presidential bid in 2022. The Deputy President also cautioned the opposition against sowing seeds of disunity in the ruling party. There was a moment of drama when the DP sought to depart from the church, but the congregation demanded that he addresses them first. The DP had to postpone his departure for a few minutes to indulge the people.
ODM na wabunge wa Jubilee ambao wameenda retreat, tunawaambia ukweli, mwende Naivasha, sisi tuko mashinani Kiambaa constituency. Kura ziko na raia, kura haziko Naivasha katika mahoteli, na hiyo ndio ujumbe. Orengo ako na baba yao huko, si baba wa Ititu, si baba yao ya hapa, lakini he has no vote in the National Assembly. Hana kura kwa bunge la taifa na hana kiti kwa bunge la taifa. Kiti yake na kura zake ziko Senate. Atafika National Assembly namna gani ndio apige kura, na sisi tunamngojea hapa kwa hapa.
We said we support the handshake. We supported the handshake because we wanted to believe it was coming to build bridges. Bridges of friendship, bridges of peace, bridges to develop and encourage our people to develop this country. But we did not want a handshake that was coming to burn past bridges.
Hawa wengine wote wapige makelele. Hawa wengine wote ni watu wamezoea makelele na fitina na fujo. Tunajaribu kuwasomesha mambo ya kuungana na mambo ya maendeleo. Itachukua muda. Unajua, mtu akishazoea fujo na maandamano na kisirani na kugawanya watu na ukabila, haiwezi kuondoka siku moja.
And as that was happening, the anti-Deputy President William Ruto team, led by nominated Member of Parliament Maina Kamanda, is in Muranga. The team, which includes MPs from Jubilee, ODM, KANU and Wiper and Gatura Catholic Church. Our reporter Martin Mwaura is in Muranga for more details on what was spoken. A very good afternoon to you, Martin. What can you tell us from that?
Good afternoon, Zainab. Yes, as you have said, we are coming live from Christ the King, a Catholic church in Gatanga. The specific place, we are at Gatora. As you have rightly said, yes, there's a team made up of leaders, MPs from Jubilee, there are MPs from Wiper, we have MPs from KANU, and even MPs from Jubilee. Now, and ODM, sorry. now, just what I want to tell you is they have raised the pertinent issues concerning corruption. But I don't want to dwell much on I just want to maybe start with the MP on my left, just to tell me what their mission in Muranga was. Is this the sign that the handshake is working?
Yeah, thank you. I think everybody knows that corruption is an impediment to development of any country. And it has actually brought down many nations. You have Greece that was brought down by excessive plunder of national resources. So as a generation, we are also being called upon, just like we've had generations fight for this country. As a generation, we are being called upon to rise up and fight this scourge of corruption that is threatening to bring down this country. And the today event was actually to emphasize the togetherness of this country. You can see we are all across the board. We have members from across the country. That the fight against corruption is not targeting an individual, and the Kenyans are behind President Uhuru Kenyatta in this fight. And you can see the enthusiasm and the energy that has been exhibited here, that Kenyans are tired, and we are ready to bring down the dragon of corruption. From now, it is war to the door of those corrupt individuals, and it is not going to stop anytime soon. Yes.
Thank you so much. Maybe, Madam Beatrice, you can just tell me this issue of corruption, and I have heard you mention that it's like people are afraid of speaking out. Maybe what is your view?
Thank you very much. First, I want to thank the father of Gatora Parish for allowing us to come in and just have Mass together. And you know, as Catholics, we're in Lent. And I just want to tell Christians across the country, if we are serious to tell God that we are Christians, then it is time to talk about corruption without having fear. Facing our God and saying we have wronged this nation, we have eaten, we have raped Kenya as raping a young baby in terms of corruption. And it is time we stand and we say no to corruption, or else this country, these young children, will come to ask us one question: what happened to Kenya? Thank you
so much. I'm with Madam Gladys Wanga here. You are an ODM MP in Muranga. Is this your first visit in Muranga? And maybe, is this the sign that handshake is working?
Well, the handshake is coming mashinani. And we have come here with two messages. And let me thank Father Gitonga very much of this Gatura Parish for having Mass with us. But we have two clear messages. One, 100% as something that has brought Kenyans together to focus as a united country, not about 2022. And two, we support the fight against corruption led by the president. And we are in full support, and we support the DCI, and we support the DPP, and we shall oppose the bill brought by Ndindi Nyoro to dilute the powers of the DPP in terms of investigation of economic crimes. So our message is very clear. We support anybody who fights corruption. We fight anybody who condones corruption.
Thank you so much. Zainab, as you have just heard, those are just some of the issues that are being raised by the Jubilee MPs and the ODM. They are just saying that they're going to stop. They're not going to stop on this war on corruption. Back to you, Zainab.
All right, thank you so much. That was Martin Mora from Muranga County. And still sticking to matters politics, Kapseret Member of Parliament Oscar Sudi says leaders from the Jubilee Party have vowed not to allow ODM leader Raila Odinga to ruin the party through his handshake with President Uhuru Kenyatta. The legislator, who spoke during the burial of businessman Richard Kiplel Mutai in Mugundoi village, Uasin Gishu, also dared Siaya Senator James Orengo to impeach Deputy President William Ruto.
Na nataka niambie chama yetu ya Jubilee, kuna watu usikaribishwa akuje kwako, kuna mtu uikaribisha akuje kwako, kuna mwingine anataka kwenda kwa bedroom yako, kuna mwingine anataka kutolea kwa choo yako, kuna mwingine anataka kwenda kwa jikoni. Mimi nataka niambie Rais Uhuru Kenyatta, tuko na shida so long as bado tuko na Raila Odinga kwa nyumba yetu. Orengo anataka kwenda kwa choo kwa toilet yako, mwingine anataka kwenda kusijui kukalia kitanda yako. Ni watu hawafai kukaribishwa kwa nyumba ya Ruto, wako na tabia mbaya.
And a family in Eldama Ravine is seeking for justice after the 5-year-old girl was defiled and the suspect released in police custody under unclear circumstances. The suspect is a 17-year-old Form 1 student.
The mother of the 5-year-old girl noticed something was wrong with her daughter when she was birthing her, the girl was in pain. Upon asking her daughter, she found out that she was raped while playing with her fellow kids.
Mtoto wangu akaanza kulia. So wakati alianza kulia, nikamuuliza ni nini mbaya. Mtoto wangu akanieleza ya kwamba Victor alinitendea na akasema nisiseme.
The mother of the kid was forced to relocate from their home after being threatened by the suspect's father. According to the family, the suspect was arrested but soon after released.
Alituambia kwamba kijana amewachilia yeye and we can go wherever we want to go. And he is in charge of the police station and he doesn't care. So as a family, we are so bitter. We even want to cry, but we don't know how to cry.
The law is clear on what procedure should be undertaken. And we beseech the authorities that let justice be done in this regard.
The 17-year-old suspect was released at the police station without being taken to court. Halima Gongo, NTV.
Quite unfortunate incident, and we hope the family can get justice. There is an ongoing debate about the age of consent in the country, sparked by a Court of Appeal ruling that recommended a review downwards. But as that debate rolls on, there is a silent problem that could impact Kenya's largest population segment, the youth. That problem is the increasingly low age of sexual debut that keeps on dropping and which threatens the physical, psychological and emotional development of these young people. NTV's Eunice Omolo with a story of one underage teenage boy who's impregnated 3 underage teenage girls in Kibera.
Tuko mademu watatu saizi wenye najua tuko na mimba yake. Mi yangu iko 6 months. Huyo demu mwingine, huyo best friend wangu saizi iko 3. Huyo mwingine ndo sasa sijajua.
15-year-old Bella, not her real name, lives in Kibera. Her young life has been disrupted after a heady affair with a fellow teenager, 16-year-old boy, who we shall name Ben for the purpose of this story.
Sasa baba wa mtoto tuliendanga shoot na yeye, photoshoot. Tukaanzanga kuongea tu hapo hivyo. Tukakuwa mabeshte, then we started dating. Actually hata tukumalizanga 2 months hiyo exact, but kituka 1.5 months nikapatanga boli yake. Hiyo time tukienda kuambia baba huyu niko na memba yake, yeye aliruka.
Bella had no knowledge of another teenage girl, Damaris, not her real name, who was also in a relationship with Ben.
Aliniletea gift, wakati aniletea gift na mimi nikakubali. Sasa wakati nilipata mimba ya kujua, hata mimi mwenyewe sikujua.
Ben rejected this pregnancy too.
Akakuja akauliza huyu kijana, uko na huyu msichana? Kijana akakataa. Siku chache na mamangu kwa ile wakati alikuwa na hasira, akaenda akashikule kijana, akampeleka police station Lang'ata, akaekwa rumanda, akakaa mwezi mmoja, wazazi wake wakamtoa.
Damaris, like other young girls in Kibera area at one point in time, out of stigma and shame, had to drop out of school. Early this month, she was accepted in a school despite being expectant.
Is mostly in line with parental neglect, lack of information on sexual and reproductive health, and also lack of school fees. So there are quite a number of girls who, because they are not in school, they are not occupied all through the day, they end up engaging in relationships that are ill-advised without any proper care or protection, and then they end up pregnant.
It is estimated that in Kenya, 1 in 6 women aged 15 to 19 are pregnant or mothers, while 1 in 10 children have had sex for the first time at the age of 14. As the debate on the age of sexual consent being lowered to 16 years continues, this trend is of concern to all stakeholders. Adolescents are also at a high risk of contracting the HIV virus and other sexually transmitted diseases.
Nimenotice pia melala na mademu wengi, including beshte yangu. Mami alikuwa ananiambia haikosi hapo ni ugonjwa umebeba. Nikaendanga uhusi, wakanipima, wakaniambia sina HIV.
The role of parents in sex conversations on whether to abstain or have it protected cannot be ignored.
I was just trying to explore what I was being told not to do.
Kwa sababu mamangu sometimes unapata anatoka job late na weekends pia patikani, anashinda kitutafutia. Mjengo.
So being that also most of them have just menial jobs that require, the more aggressive you are in seeking them out, the more money you can get. And this is a 7 days a week routine. So they have very little time to actually invest in getting to know their children and getting to know what these girls are up to from morning till evening, plus the boys as well. So over time, it's neglect, yes, but it's not always intentional neglect.
Stephen Ocheng is a matatu driver in this area, a father of 3 teenagers and a grandfather after his first daughter got pregnant at 14 and to a high school boyfriend who was 15 years old then. He says some cultures commonly practiced by some communities here, such as one that prohibits him to live under the same roof with his adolescent children, are partly to blame.
Umeona? Sasa hii mali unajua wewe huwezi kulala na mtoto wao wakishwa kwa ukubwa, huwezi kulala na kwa nyumba moja. Mali tunatafutia nyumba wanalala, hapo ndio wanatokea. Sasa wewe unafikiri mtoto analala pale, kumbe ametoka. Ameenda kwa hizi bus. Naitwa basi disco hii ya siku hizi.
Girls as early as 9 years and boys as well would already be engaging in sexual behavior. Now you have the choice of either letting them engage and deal with the consequences of teenage pregnancy, sexually transmitted diseases, potential attempts to abort, or the complications that might even lead into death for the young ones, or give them information about available services on either prevention or having safe sex. So those are the places where all the government policies and the controversies that come with actually place us.
Eunice Omolo, NTV, Kibera, Nairobi.
Well, more legislators have added their voice to those opposed to the Court of Appeal's proposal to have the age of consent reduced from 18 to 16 years of age. Speaking separately, the Matungulu Member of Parliament Stephen Mule and his Baringa South counterpart Charles Kamuren said such a move would reverse the gains made in the efforts to end early child marriage. Such a move, they said, would only serve to worsen the problem of teen pregnancy that became evident in the course of the last national examination. The MPs added their voices to those of several women in the public sphere have expressed concerns that at 16, teens are not mature enough to make informed choices on their sexuality.
Na hii mambo mengine ya hii mambo ya sheria ya kusema wasichana sasa wapewe kibali ya kwamba wakifika umri ya miaka 16 wawe wa mama, wawe watu wasima wa kuolewa. Nataka niulize nyinyi wa Kenya kwamba mnakubaliana? Mnakubaliana? Mnakataa? Hebu kataa hivi nione, hebu kataa kama unakataa. Kataa hivyo nione.
Nataka niseme yule ako na hiyo mpango alete kwa referendum ajue wa Kenya ni kina nani. We cannot allow the country to be taken backwards instead of going forward.
Well, the Dock Workers Union has slammed the move to privatize the second container terminal at the port of Mombasa. The union officials want President Uhuru Kenyatta to initiate a probe into the plans, maintaining that some government officials and private companies are behind the move for their own benefit. The Dock Workers Union Secretary General Simon Sang reiterated that there are issues affecting the port that needs to be addressed before initiating such plans, which he says will lead to massive loss of jobs. The union officials are also calling for public participation.
We are not begging. We are demanding that they will never privatize. That one, the action, they will see what they are going to do. We are not begging for that. We are Kenyans. We are the owners of this port. So it's not a question of saying to Saidi. No, we are saying what are the reasons. They must give us sufficient reason to say that these are justification. Kwa hivyo hiyo, hata hatuna options mbili. The option we have is no privatization. If they want performance, we have ways of giving them what they want in terms of performance.
Well, efforts to rid Lake Victoria of hyacinth received a fresh boost after an organization calling itself Seaweed Aquatic Lake Services introduced new technology to help in the removal of the weed. The man behind the technology, Patrick Odhiambo, claims that the method is cost-effective, and Okukusa reports from the Lake Victoria where field trials were conducted.
The technology involves casting of a net known as a grazer around a mat of the water hyacinth weed, trapping it in the process. The net, which is attached to floaters, is then pulled to shore with the help of a motorized boat.
It's very practical, cost-effective, and even in future we'll be using the fishermen as they go fishing, they come up with loads of hyacinth, and we'll keep on cleaning the lake.
Patrick says that the method has been tried and tested elsewhere in Kenya, with impressive results being realized.
In 2014, we did a demo for former county governor of Nairobi, Dr. Evans Kidero. And in 2017, we did another demo for the former governor of Kisumu County, His Excellency Ranguma.
According to Patrick, once the weed has been removed from the lake, it can be used for various economic purposes.
We'll make cheap fertilizer, and we can also show them and train them on how they can make briquettes, charcoal, and cheap biofuel.
The technology, which Patrick strongly believes would offer the much-needed solution for the hyacinth headache, has however been received coldly by the county government of Kisumu.
We approached the county governor and his team of environment, that is Mr. Rimba and his team, and they went and kept quiet. So he said, let's be seen, let's see what we can do.
Water hyacinth first emerged on Lake Victoria in 1992. Since then, there have been numerous attempts to eradicate it from the lake.
We have fishermen, we have traders with us, we have aquaculture, those are farmers of fish, we have ponds, we intend to use cages at the lake, but because of the hyacinth, our dreams cannot be realized.
Okukusa, NTV.
While in other news making headlines across the globe, and Pope Francis joined Morocco's King Mohammed VI in saying Jerusalem should be a symbol of peaceful coexistence for Christians, Jews and Muslims. He said this on the first day of his visit to the North African country on Saturday.
The spiritual leader of the world's 1.3 billion Catholics was invited by King Mohammed VI for the sake of interreligious dialogue, according to Moroccan authorities. In a joint statement, the two leaders said Jerusalem was common patrimony of humanity and especially the followers of the three monotheistic religions. In the declaration released by the Vatican as the pontiff visited Rabat, the joint statement comes after US President Donald Trump's landmark recognition of the disputed city as capital of Israel, which sparked anger across the Muslim world, especially from Palestinians who see Jerusalem as the capital of their future state. The Moroccan king chairs a committee created by the Organization of Islamic Cooperation to safeguard and restore Jerusalem's religious, cultural, and architectural heritage. Improving relations with other religions has been a priority for the Argentine pontiff, whose papacy has been marred by clergy facing a wave of child sex abuse allegations. Addressing thousands of Moroccans who had braved the rain to attend the welcome ceremony, Francis said it was essential to oppose fanaticism. The Pope will celebrate Mass at a Rabat stadium with an estimated 10,000 people attending.
Well, back into the country, and Wajir Governor Mohamed Mahmoud is extending an olive branch to his political competitors as he settles to govern the county after a win at the Supreme Court. In an event dubbed Building Bridges Wajir Chapter, the governor, together with a host of leaders from the region and beyond, seeks to unite the county and forge a working relationship in a bid to foster development. And we'll be having that report later on in our subsequent bulletins. Our political affairs reporter Kennedy Murede is in Wajir, who will be bringing us all the details of that meeting. Well, Ida Waringa is ready to bring you the sporting action right now.
On this sporty Sunday, my name is Ida Warenga. Now, National Super League leader Wazito FC face Western Steamer in the Sport Pesa Shield round of 16 at 3 p.m. today without the services of Lloyd Wahome. In today's other match, AFC Leopards will face Minnows Bungoma Superstars at the Buhungu Stadium. The 2017 champions will be aiming to qualify for the last 8 against a Division 1 side that dumped out a Sofapaka 5-4 on post-match penalties in the round of 32. KCB, Bidco, SS Assad and Congo Boys are the teams that have made it to the last 8 of the competition after Saturday's action. To the EPL now, and Liverpool will be hoping to pile pressure on leaders and current champions Manchester City in their quest to regain a top spot fully when they take on Tottenham in their English Premier League tie this afternoon. The Reds will monitor fullback Trent Alexander-Arnold, who withdrew from England duty with a back problem. City top with 77 points, a point better than Jurgen Klopp's side. Tottenham are without Eric Dier, who suffered a muscle injury in England's win against the Czech Republic. Harry Winks remains sidelined, but Kieran Trippier is back in action. In the other match this afternoon, Chelsea will travel to take on Cardiff in the early kickoff, seeking a win that will take them tied on points with 5th-placed Arsenal. The Gunners are in action on Monday against Newcastle. Lionel Messi scored twice in the second half, including a chipped free kick as Barcelona beat Espanyol 2-0 to keep their 10-point lead at the top of the Spanish La Liga. Messi dinked his first goal from the edge of the box before finishing off a counter-attack.
That brings us to the end of our bulletin this hour. Many thanks for keeping us company. My name is Zainab Ismail. Good afternoon.